Kung nakatutok ka siguro sa Facebook lang, grabe. Hindi mo alam, buong araw ka na pala nagpa-Facebook.
Yep, that's why I turned it off. Pati Instagram, wala ako. Pinatay ko lahat.
Talaga?
Yep, I just keep the Facebook one for the work. For yung anti-ants lang.
Sharing. Sharing to group. Kumusta today?
What's that?
Your sales today?
Better. Actually, no, MECQ okay naman. Not so bad for us actually. But dami kasi kami promo, diba? And then we had the thing for the frontliners. So.
Yun. Okay. Sama kayo sa correct. Shared. Okay. All set. Game. To Istoryang futBOLERO. My name is Ron Poblete. With me is Mikel Paris, owner of Anti-Ants. I'm very glad that Anti-Ants are doing okay in this MECQ. Mikel?
Thank you.
So far, so good.
Thank you.
Mikel?
Well, I'm blessed. I have a very good team. They work very, very hard and very creative.
Yun na nga, yun ang kailangan natin ngayon. Cooperation from everybody, from management to our employees, because we need all the help we can get, not only from the government, but also from the people that we work with. That includes our family as well as our support group all throughout this pandemic, diba? Our family and friends. So yung friends, ano ba role ng friends natin to siguro, Mikel, help you with the sales, no? Buy your pretzels.
Well, friends can help by promoting for you and all that, but mostly friends can help by giving you memes to keep you happy, distract you, mga ganyan.
Right. Yeah, but I'm glad to know, Mikel, that you're doing okay, because I think about a few months ago you were worried about us entering another MECQ. You were very concerned about the sales of our local businesses. And it's still a concern, right? Kasi hindi pa naman tapos. Marami
actually,
pa rin,
major concern. I mean, nakita mo naman si Jollibee, nagsara na ng mga ilang 200 stores. Pag nagsara na si Jollibee, kabahan ka na. Kasi, mura-mura lang ni Jollibee, but people are still not buying. Then there's others that mga long-established mga restaurants and places na kinasanayan na natin na nagsasara na. So it's very, very, very scary for still a lot of retailers out there.
So the question is, may pagkukulang ba ang publiko sa pagsunod sa mga alituntunin ng gobyerno? The guidelines of the sabi kasi nila, Mikel, hindi naman daw nagkulang ang government reminding people about the basic health standards. We have been reminding people to follow them to the T. They're very simple, really. You just have to wash your hands, wear a mask, social distancing ng isang metro, and know your information and stop spreading fake news. It's easy to follow, and those things, if you follow them, chances of you getting sick becomes a lot less. Kasi sabi nila, 85%, sabi ng DOH, you can protect yourself 85% of the time if you follow these basic guidelines. So ang tanong dyan, if all of us are following these basic guidelines or reminders from the government. And like you said, Mikael, before, it takes one village idiot to ruin everything. Hindi natin maiwasan, meron talagang pasaway, matigas ang ulo, ayaw sumunod, hindi sila naniniwala sa, meron tayong kilala dyan na abogado. Alam mo ba, hindi ako makapaniwala na totoo yun. Sakala kasi, syempre, natutuwa ka rin naman sa kanya kasi siya yung nagpauso ng bobo.
Galit na galit siya sa bobo, pero actually, pwede mo naman argue kung bobo siya or what dun sa ginawa niya. Hindi ko alam.
May two sides of the argument. Pwedeng, smart nga yun, para lang you can get in the establishments for show na meron kang face mask, kaso nakadikit lang sa face shield mo. But it defeats the purpose of having a face mask if you have that.
Actually, mali siya talaga kasi yung, it will still go down. You're still spreading your germs or whatever. So it's actually, kung may nanonood, wag yung gagayahin yun, please.
I actually thought that he was, he was smarter than that. Kasi he seems like a very smart guy every time he talks about, every time he talks about the opposition, and then he has always something to say about the other side, and it makes sense most of the time. But right now, mukhang I can't really, I can't defend what he's doing.
Well, you can't defend the indefensible, no? And it goes to show na may mga, kasi ang mahirap dito sometimes, di ba, lalo na nung unang ina-accuse ng mga pasaway, yung mga mahirap, yung mga hindi educated, pero may kita mo naman na ang dami din na may kaya, na kung saan-saan school na nag-aral, na sila din mismo mga pasaway. So medyo universal siya. No? Yeah.
Tapos syempre, when somebody does something, first impulse me is to get into his head or put yourself in his shoes. And then I'm thinking, ano kaya yung what led him to believe that kasi I think the main reasoning for his actions is the fact daw na the masks daw are useless. Kasi marami pa rin naman daw nagkakasakit kahit na nagmamask yung mga tao. But can you imagine if people weren't wearing masks, how worse it would have been for us?
Well, it's medyo mali din kasi, universally accepted na naman across all healthcare fields throughout the world na wearing a mask is proven, scientifically proven to reduce the risk of transmission, diba? So, the mere fact that you're covering your face where the virus can come out of your nose and your mouth is already a big step. Kaya rin naman, yung argument niya is nagkakasakit pa rin yung tao. Well, true, nagkakasakit pa rin yung tao. Pero dahil kasi nagkaka-moments na lax sila, na binababa yung mask, or yung mask mismo contaminated na hinahawakan, So there's many reasons for that, but it's kind of hard to argue na yung mask doesn't help. No, everybody should wear mask. Yun na nga, sinasabihan na nga tayo ngayon na kulang pa yung mask. Kailangan may face shield na rin, di ba?
So, Miguel, di ba, yung ibang nagsusuot pa ng gloves, which is not recommended kasi when you wear gloves, I think the germs stick in your hands or because
okay. I have a thing about the gloves. May issue kasi ako sa gloves. No? Kasi sa Auntie-Anne's, I don't know if you see, sa Auntie-Anne's, we make our pretzels fresh every day. Diba? You see it? That's the whole joy. Diba? Nakita mo, ginagawa namin yung pretzel. For the longest time, for many years, we didn't use any gloves. Kasi Auntie-Anne's has a very strict hand washing policy. So we wash our hands so many times. So normally sa store, there's 2 sinks. Kasi talagang they wash. Every time they touch, they wash. But some of the malls and some of the mga LGUs, sabi nila kailangan naka-gloves ka na. So minsan, like when you see somebody making a pizza, they're not wearing gloves. Kasi nga, didikit yung dough sa gloves, diba? But anyway, because we were mandated to wear the gloves, we started wearing the gloves. But yung problem mo kasi with gloves, it's just human nature. In other places, it's like, you're touching something with the gloves. You go on and you do something else, you touch something else with those gloves. So nagkaka-cross-contamination ka na. So in an effort, the main reason you do the gloves is to keep clean and sanitize, but you actually can end up making it worse. In certain instances, like in the medical profession, ganyan, talagang kailangan nila ng gloves. But in a lot of other instances, hand washing and disinfecting is more than enough.
Tsaka when you use gloves or anything extra that is mandated by the DOH, may proper usage siguro yun na kailangan mo ring isipin.
Oo, kasi pag kung saan ka pa hawak and everything, no? The other issue with the gloves, like for us personally, doon sa Antians, is it costs millions upon millions every month to give. Kasi yung gloves, hindi yan isang glove for the whole day, no? They use several gloves throughout, no? And it's millions plus the environmental waste, no? Kasi saan tinatapon ng mga gloves? It's the same with di ba, nag-issue na dyan sa mga masks, saan tinatapon yung mga masks, umaabot na sa dagat and everything, di ba? Yung mga tao naman, they'll just take it out and throw it in the street, di ba? Which is even worse. So ang dami things. I mean, DOH naman said many times na you just wash your hands, sanitize regularly, you'll be fine. And then wear the mask. And then now, obviously, face shield. So wag ka maniniwala kay Gadon na hindi naman kailangan mag-mask na pwede mo idikit lang sa face shield.
Sabi mo na rin yung pangalan. But,
alam naman na lahat ng tao yung ginawa niya. I mean, he's done many...
Mali mo,
Well, he's done many things na okay naman, no? I mean, again, this is where we have to be a bit careful kasi the internet and the world, bawal na magkamali. You make one mistake, you're vilified as the most evil, horrible, useless person in the world. Para kala mo hindi nagkakamali ang tao, we all make mistakes. We all have things we've done that we're like, oh man, we should have done that. Doesn't mean we're horrible people and we don't have, good futures and plans for other people, di ba?
Pero ways of on his part kasi meron na siyang following eh. Kids love him, diba?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's why you have to be, I mean, it's kind of hard to have that moral ground na ikaw, tinatawag mong bobo yung mga tao tapos gagawa ka ng gano'n. when your whole catchphrase is about calling people bobo, you have to make sure that you're not.
Basically kasi obviously kaya nga nasabi ko gaya ng sabi ko kanina, Mikel, halos lahat naman, I think siguro 95% siguro ng mga tao sinusunod na yung mga guidelines ng government. But yung ano lang dyan kasi pag yung 5% hindi talaga susunod, it takes just one person nga to infect somebody in the restaurant, diba? Pagpasok doon, kung hindi sumusunod, walang mask or they don't use it properly or they don't hand wash, there are chances na baka mas-spread mo pa rin yung virus. And especially in enclosed areas like offices, that's prevalent. I think it was established during kaya nagkaroon tayo ng MECQ, most of the infections happened in the office spaces or in the office. Kaya,
offices, mga warehouse, mga ganyan.
Warehouse. Kaya tuloy, ang government decide na kailangan na rin mag-face mask sa opisina. Although you have questions about that, the effectivity of having to wear a face mask in the office, but it's only 35 pesos.
The face mask
only 5 pesos, but
no, the face mask is cheap enough, no. But it's a matter of using the face mask properly. I mean, the face shield, no, kailangan properly yung paggamit.
The face shield, right?
Yeah, and those things also have to be disinfected, no. Kasi yung laway and everything will go on it. No? But ideally, wala nang laway yan kasi everybody's wearing a mask, no. But still, there's still a way to clean those face shields. So unless you clean it properly, then baliwala lang din. But they are very cheap. 35 pesos, you can get a very good one now. So it's really not, I mean, ideally, the thing is, most workplaces naman, we've been told we have to give it to our team. So sagot na ng company yan, no? Which I don't mind. We spend millions on equipping our touch wood, thankfully, until now sa Antians, wala pa kaming nag-COVID positive. But, we know it's a matter of time. We're really doing our best. But most workplaces, you have to supply already the face shields. We were already giving our staff face shield before pa. So I'm glad. I mean, like with everything, whether it's mask, disinfecting, or whatever, it's only as good as if you're following it properly. No, so I can buy you the nicest face mask in the world from, I don't know, 10,000 pesos isang mask, all these fancy ones you can buy in Lazada. But if you're not wearing it properly, useless lang din. Or if you're not washing your hands properly, or you're touching the mask and doing, ganun lang din eh. So, like anything in life.
Yung face shields ngayon, marami ng style that you can
lahat
choose from.
Lahat naman ginawa ng negosyo dito sa panahon ng pandemic na to, no? Whether it's rapid test, face mask, remember noong una, wala kang mabili. Alam mo yung mga thermometer, yung scanner na ganyan sa mall? I bought 60 plus of those, yung height ng pandemic, nung lockdown, nasa 3.5 ang isa. Bumili ako 60 pieces nun para sa mga store na ngayon makabili ka 400, 500, 700.
That's quite an investment, Mikel, to spend that much money on.
No, I mean, the thing is, when this was first happening, it was so hard to get those mga PPE, and we really spent because talagang we want to protect our employees. And that's what breaks my heart, no, is kami nagpapakahirap to protect our employees and make sure that everybody is safe and stuff. But other yung companies naman, they're not that, parang a lot of them for show lang, masabi lang na nabigyan na ng mask. Kasi a lot of it, Ron, is not just supplying the equipment. It's a lot of it is yung educating your teams as to bakit nila kailangan suotin yan. Why do they have to do this properly? You have to give them the why, not just how, no? And if once people realize, kasi example lang, ako sa Auntie Hans, like, may mga instances na sabihin na, kuwari, may kilala kami na exposed na ganyan sa COVID, kailangan everybody is safe. Ang tatanong namin sa store kagad is, were you all wearing your mask and your face shield and everything? If the answer is yes, then we're all fine. We don't have to worry because the risk of transmission, even if you encounter a customer who has COVID, if everybody's wearing their protective gear, the risk of transmission is a lot less. So kung may moments ka na lax ka na, alam mo, nag-uusap-usap kayo, binabaan nyo yung mask, doon kayo kakabahan. No, that's why we always tell our team. So if you always wear what you're supposed to wear, you follow the protocol, we have nothing to worry about.
We have so many questions about the current situation kasi merong the president might make an announcement tonight. If not tonight, they'll record the message and then they'll show it siguro bukas sa press con or sa press con ni Secretary Harry. Tapos doon na rin malalaman kung ano mangyayari sa Metro Manila. People are of course very concerned kung mag-extend yung MECQ because there's no business. Although if you go to certain cities in Metro Manila, meron pa rin may mga nagninegosyo pa rin. Unlike before na MECQ na talagang wala. Sarado talaga yung mga tindahan. Pero seems like business as usual. Meron pa rin. People are able to sell pa rin and make a living. Question natin sa mga tao ngayon is, sa tingin ba ninyo kinakailangan i-extend ang MECQ? Do you trust your neighbors, your friends, or the people you know to follow the guidelines until the end, until we find a vaccine? Or is this something questionable? Because when you're in your community, you can see there are still people who don't follow the rules or who don't use it properly. So those are the questions. And for your information, meron ring mga third-party na mga individuals or groups that are proposing, if hindi po kayo familiar sa term na herd immunity, ang herd immunity po ay sinasabi nila na merong certain percentage lang po daw ng population that can be critically affected by COVID. So that means the rest of the population, a certain age group, can still do what they do. Even if they get infected, you won't have to worry you don't have to worry about them getting sick. But of course, Mikel, a lot of people will frown upon that kasi you're putting too much risk on a certain group of people, di ba? Buti sana kung mga Pilipino to the T, susundin nila yung implementing rules niyan. So kung susundin talaga natin na okay, sige, pwedeng lumabas tong grupo na to, they can go about their business, they can blend with each other. Syempre may minimum health standards pa rin, but we don't have to worry about them getting sick. But at least we can normalize the economy. But paano yung mga vulnerable? Tsaka may comorbidity na ng mga age group. May chance pa rin they'll get infected because first, not all families have enough rooms in their house to isolate certain people. And if you allow a certain group of age group to do that, there's no guarantee that a large chunk of the population won't get the vulnerable sector from getting infected. So that's diba, Mikael? That's medyo catch-22 yun eh. Yung
super.
Yung ganung klaseng idea. Kasi sabi nila nag-work daw sa Sweden. Saan pa ba ginawa to? Sa India daw, Mikael, diba?
I'm not sure with India because India also had some severe lockdowns also. I think they tried it first, no? But si Sweden lang yung talagang pretty much said, no, we continue as per. Although, medyo myth yung sa Sweden na walang lockdowns. They had some. They had some restrictions na banned yung mga mass gatherings of 50 plus. They did some stuff. I think, the biggest issue kasi with Sweden is ang daming namatay in their care homes. No? So care homes are home for the elderly, basically. Is where they put the elderly, which are the most vulnerable. And same in other countries in Europe, like in the UK, sobrang daming namatay sa mga care homes. No?
Yeah.
So those are the issues. I mean, the verdict is still out whether herd immunity is actually still really viable. Yung sa Sweden, it's too early to tell. Some people say it went well, but a lot of people want them to fail. And daming mga articles dyan saying Sweden got it wrong and all that. But we don't know. It's too early to tell, I'd say, in terms of the herd immunity.
We should probably stick with the status quo, even if the cases are high. Our mortality rate is a lot lower than most countries, diba, Mikel? I don't know if it's our genes or a large segment of our population have very strong immune system.
Immunity. Ang mga Pinoy, bihira lang magkasakit kasi ang hirap magkasakit dito, mahal. Di tulad sa ibang country, magkasipon ka lang, pwede mo nang puntahan yung doktor mo kasi libre or may pera ka lang pambayad. Dito, alas mamamatay na yung mga tao, ayaw pang pumunta ng doktor.
Ano yung, nalala mo yung controversial comment ni Joey Concepcion dati na yung ating there's a large portion of our population have better immune system because they're exposed to the elements, exposed sila sa germs eh. So pag tinamaan sila ng mikrobyo or a virus or bacteria, chances are their bodies respond well to such situation. Better than most.
There's some science to that naman. No? I mean, you have to think about kasi yung mga may kaya and have generally more sheltered lives. Their lifestyles are different. So even things like drinking water. Yung mga matagal nang umiinom ng mga mineral water. Remember back in the day, walang mineral water and people would just drink from the faucet. Now, like me, personally, kung uminom ako sa faucet ng I'd probably be sick for weeks. But back in the day, wala yan, diba? And I remember to classic example nung ROTC namin sa UP Los Baños. I was there after, pagod na pagod, diba? So I was drinking my Coke yata yun or water. And then yung mga kasama ko, umiinom lang diretso sa gripo. I was like, oh my God, you're gonna die. I said, ano mangyari sa inyo? They were fine. Absolutely lang yung mukhang tanga kasi sobrang sela ng tiyan ko, diba? And all sorts. But people are used to that. And also, they're also exposed to the elements day in, day out. Di naman sila nagdadrive sa car. They're not hidden away in their air-conditioned houses. They're exposed to the air and all sorts of their small quarters. They pass on. Not to say they don't get sick, no? But and also, most of them, yung mga kababayan natin na pag nagkasakit, they just soldier on, they still go to work. Yung experience ko kasi nung nasa England ako is konting sipon lang ng tao, hindi na papasok yan kasi alam naman nila yung sick pay nila, full pay yan, 6 months.
Which can be a problem for us, Mikel, kasi kung ganyan yung ugali or yung attitude ng Pinoy, kahit na may sakit, papasok pa rin, o hindi nila sasabihin na may sakit sila.
Malaking issue yan, Ron, kasi like even for us sa Antians, we have a daily log yan ng kung anong symptoms mo, anong temperature mo. It's a Google sheet that we record, we check every day. But a large chunk of that, you rely on the honesty of the person to say na, oh, meron akong symptoms, meron ganyan. A lot of people I know in other places na nangyari na to, in other companies, is kasi nga pag di sila pumasok, wala silang sweldo. So kahit nakakaramdam na sila ng konting cough or whatever, ayaw nilang sabihin. Kasi nga, unang-una, there's discrimination. Umubo ka lang ngayon, nakala ng tao ngayon, may ketong ka na. Diba? Sabi nga nila, umubo ka lang ngayon, buong barangay, kinakabahan na, diba? Or concerned na sa'yo. But, there's the discrimination side. And also, they cannot afford to miss a day of work. What people don't realize, compared to a lot of these other countries na kino-compare tayo, na Singapore, na South Korea, New Zealand, those people can afford to not go to work for a few days. The average Pinoy cannot miss 1 day of work. Yeah. 537, whatever it is minimum wage in your area is, they cannot afford it. People don't appreciate it. Sobrang hirap yan.
Malaking bagay yung 200 sa isang araw or 300 sa isang araw. Yung mga naglalako sa kalsada, di ba? Doon lang sila nagbebenta ng sigarilyo or anything. Tapos imagine, if no one buys from them because people are not out, then how do they fend for their family?
Exactly.
I've seen very sad photos or I've seen people on the broadsheets, pictures of drivers who are begging on the streets. Nakakaawa, ano, yung mga jeepney drivers who don't have work right now. So I think one picture I saw is itong driver, sabi niya kahit na ano sa kanila, masama sa loob nila na gawin yung parang ang baba na ng tingin nila sa sarili nila for doing it. They have to do it because they don't have anything or any means to support their family. So begging on the streets. So we've been getting positive feedback from a lot of people, especially the ones syempre, I think with messages also talking about despite the pandemic and the hardships are able to earn still, diba? And maybe you can find it in your heart to also like share some of your blessings to people who are in need. Let's start reading some of the messages here. Angelo Yambao says, why there's BPO companies who can operate on but still they push people to work at the office. I know that they allow a certain percentage to work at the office. It's allowable population to work at the office, but not requirement or required population. So I don't get the management. I know I put safety protocols, but there is still a risk. So may mga ganun pa rin. Miguel, as a business owner, there are people who have to still report for work. No? Hindi pwede lahat work from home.
Yes, I mean the thing with work from home is you have to have good internet connections, you have to have the computers, and also not everybody has that capability, and not every company has the ability to give that to the employee. No, napahawiin ka na to give you all the equipment, pay for your internet, especially now. No, I don't know yung setup sa mga BPO. Obviously, they have more resources, but from what I know, most part is they're allowed to work from, but there will be certain like why even Salmon, there's still certain people who have to go to the office, although we limit na lang the hours that they do and make sure it's all safe. No, it's hard to judge dun sa mga BPO, but for me is if you're gonna require your employees to go to work, make sure that the protocols are there and you equip them properly. And that you train them regularly on yung how to be safe and all of that. Kasi yung iba kasi they just require them to go in, then they bahala ka na sa buhay mo basta kumita, diba? Hindi naman tama yan. As an employer, you have a duty to take care of your team. No, hindi porket may pera dyan, papabayaan mo na sila. No? And that's why we're very, very particular about that sa amin. Sadly lang, mga ganyan na no work, no pay. So, ibang mga tao talagang papasok, wala nang pake. And one issue na kailangan natin pag-usapan when it comes to the workplaces is a lot of people are doing yung mga rapid test. So, dyan sila sumasablay nga kasi, kuwari, isang factory, isang warehouse, 300 sila mag-rapid test, lahat sila negative. Feeling nila, medyo okay na sila kasi lahat sila safe. Feeling na lahat negative, but that doesn't mean there's nobody there with COVID and they go home back and forth every day. So yun, kampante na sila, nakababa na yung mga mask kasi nag-test ka naman, di ba, negative ka, okay, usap-usap tayo. So
yung major pasaways recently in one city here in Metro Manila, nag-gather a large group of people, nagsabong. Saan ba yung litrato nun mga ungas? Mga gago talaga. Lahat wala pa sila mga mask ha. Kasi nang titigas na mga muka. Anyway, we'll look for that photo and show it to you if you haven't seen it. Pero I think na sa ano rin yun, nasa newspaper rin yun eh. Talagang parang they were doing it under a flyover tapos or a construction site, tapos doon na sila nagkumpul-kumpul, tapos nagsasabog yung mga walang hiya, tapos walang mga mask. Sabi ko sa'yo, Miguel you can't trust all people. Meron pa rin talaga mga deviants. A small percentage, still they can definitely do damage. Guys, don't worry, hindi lang puro doom and gloom ang papag-usapan natin ngayon. Meron tayong mga rin nakakatuwa pag-usapan, like tabloid propaganda ng mga oposisyon. Tapos yung Red Cross demands to get paid. And talking heads of the yellow idiots, I would like to call them that because they seem to be saying the same thing, the same stupid thing on their social media platforms. I think you know who they are. the likes of Tanyada and Hilbay, and also this blogger from the other side, Pinoy Ako Vlog. Kasi ginawa nilang issue yung kay Presidente na nagpalabas sila ng retrato, puro sila, wala silang
Chappy ka ron,
tabloid
chappy.
reporters. Kung puro lang tayo sinasabot tayo ng kabila. Tapos, and then we'll probably show the pasaway of the day, Miguel. And then we'll go back and ask the main question for this topic. MECQ or strict GCQ, which is recommended by the mayors. Anong gusto ninyong mangyari? Sang-ayon ba kayo na mag-MECQ tayo ngayon, tuloy-tuloy hanggang end of August, or sundin natin yung mga payo or yung recommendation ng ating mga Metro Manila mayors na mag-GCQ pa rin pero strict implementation yung ating mga rules. So let's go back to what I was talking about, the tabloid propaganda of the opposition. So I want to show like a few photos here if I may. Ako masishare ko using our Viber app. No, I can't. So I'll have to load. Okay, I'll have to post the photos here so you guys can show. Let's start with the you've seen this, di ba? Mikel, yung mga litrato ng mga pinopost ng kabila.
Yeah, of course. Well, I've seen some of it. I've done the smart thing and turned off my Facebook for the last ilang weeks na in Instagram. So mukhang may mga nakita lang ako sa mga Viber groups, mga ganyan.
Saan na to? Saan na ba yun? Okay, ito. Got it. All right, let's start with this blogger named Pinoy Ako Vlog. Kilala mo ba yan, Mikel? Si Jover.
Yes.
Diba? Medyo naging infamous yan eh. Dahil unashamed by the fact that I think, did she admit that she was or one of their former cohorts talagang went out and said that some of them get paid, including this one. This is the recent post that she did. So this photo has been circulating about this private plane in Sabah landing in Indonesia. Sabah is in Indonesia, or Malaysia? Mikel.
Was it
Indonesia? Right?
Well, that's supposed to be, diba, our territory.
Anyway, so the point there is
but it's Malaysian. Sabah's Malaysian.
Malaysia or some, ang narinig ko pa nga Singapore daw, lumipad daw ang presidente sa Singapore for a medical issue. So sumakay ng private jet at umalis daw si presidente. Tapos itong mga ungas na to, pinost nila ngayon sa kanilang social media platform, pinag-share pa nila. Ito si Pinoy Ako Vlog is the #1 culprit. And he shared this post from a certain Josel Bato Garcia. Anyway, so yun yung post. And as you can see, yun pa, meron pa silang mga tracker na ginawa. And then, lo and behold, obviously hindi naman magpapa-api ang ating sila Senbong, sila Sen BJ, and ang ating some people from the administration, because they found it very amusing that they're doing that. And this post came out. Let me show you. Just to contest this stupid thing, this stupid post. Ito yung lumabas after they posted this. Naglabas si Senator Bongo ng litrato ni Presidente sa bahay niya sa Davao na kumakain ng itlog at saka hotdog.
Photoshop lang yan, Ron.
Ayun Luma ba yan? Baka Photoshop yung yung newspaper.
Photoshop at saka body double daw.
Body double daw. Wow. They spend so much time doing shit like this at home, siguro in their underwear or whatever it is that they're doing, or picking their nose.
It's just so, I mean, like I said, I don't want to be yellow versus Duterte or whatever, but it's just, Um, it's not necessary right now. How many times na sinabi patay na si Duterte or whatnot? I don't understand. If he dies, I'm pretty sure we'll find out. Ang hirap naman magtago ngayon ng mga ganyang kind of information, no? But you know, what we should be doing is praying that if that our president is well. Nobody wants this to happen, di ba? Na kuwari magkasakit siya or anything to happen to him. Kung gonna just pray that your president is well. Parang the other side will take delight if somebody dies, and that's sad. That's very, very heartbreaking. Na other people think na this would be good news if the president of your country dies in the middle of a pandemic.
Actually, what I did, Mikel, because of this stupid post by Pinoy Ako Blog, I actually wrote the political manager of political affairs manager of Facebook, and told them, so where's your fact checkers, Rappler and Verifiles? Why aren't they releasing something to contest this post about the president going to another country? Diba? Kayo, very active kayo on refuting claims or people posting fake news. How come wala tayo nakikita mga posts from Verifiles or Rappler showing that this is fake news, na meron pang label nakalagay fake news, diba? So it makes you wonder. And then you have idiots like this guy coming out with statements that I don't know if he thinks about it or they just deliberately want to confuse people. So, ako pa na nga, Aserto, ano pa naman sana siya? He's a bar top-notcher, di ba?
Hindi ko alam. Alam ko lang dyan, boyfriend ni Agot Isidro dati. Yun lang alam ko dyan.
Si Mr. Roll-On. Tawag sa kanya ng mga DDS, Mr. Roll-On.
Bakit?
Ano sabi niya dito? Perpetual isolation in the midst of a pandemic is incapacity to perform the functions of the office. A true leader will not selfishly hide while the nation is suffering. I don't know how they come up with this bullshit, di ba? I mean, how do they, sino itong mga PR na nagagawa, nag-iisip ng mga ganitong klaseng mga statements na i-release sa media? What a waste of space and time. And, people have better things to read than this kind of shit on social media. Tapos, and they're just, convoluting the situation and making it, parang sa kasi ng mga chismoso. You expect better from a former Solicitor General. So it begs the question, again, we always talk about this, Mikel. Do we have the right people in government? And the quality of people in government somehow, it makes you question.
It's such a tricky. I mean, parang, it's one thing to be critical and want what's best for the Philippines, but sometimes it's too easy to see through it. Na it's parang lang talaga, naninira lang just so that they can be back in power, which is sad. No, like I said, at this time in this pandemic, the global, it's everybody's affected. We should be uniting as a country to fight this together. But it would appear that there's some parties who are just may vested interest na parang they want the country to fail. Every day na lang, they'll come out with the thing saying something bad. Even, let's say, si Rappler and all these other things, there's so many articles that are published out into the international world from this, just painting the Philippines as such a horrible place. But we know the people who live here, and alam naman natin, obviously it's not a good time for everybody in the world, but it's not as bad as these people are painting it out. And why do you have to go out there to paint this picture na sobrang lala? And why do you have to make a statement like that? Alam mo ba kung anong ginagawa ng presidente 24 hours a day, or other people who are working in the cabinet? And who is thinking in their right mind that ilan taon na ba si Duterte? He's 70 plus?
75, I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
Who in their right mind is sitting in their house thinking that President Duterte at 75 years old is the guy doing all of this by himself? Diba? I should see this guy in the TV 24 hours a day to tell me everything's okay. No, it's the same as in a corporation. Hindi mo naman ako makikita sa anti-an stores namin na paikot-ikot, but doesn't mean we're not running our business properly. Diba? We have systems, we have people who are paid to do these things, and they're very, very well set up. We equip them. I am here when they need me. But let's say perpetual isolation. I haven't set foot in any of my offices or anti-an stores in 4 months. Maybe I went to 1 or 2 stores lang. But that doesn't make me a horrible manager. Do they know what I have been doing behind the scenes to make sure that all of our employees are protected, that we haven't laid off a single employee, and that we've been doing all of these things behind the scenes, and I talk to them daily on the phone, or, we have all sorts of stuff. But doesn't, di ba, parang sinabi mo lang, hindi ko nakita, ano gusto mo, si Duterte mismo magagawa ng PCR test, mag-swab test siya ng mga tao para na ma-appease ka. Hindi naman tama yun, di ba? And also, why
may playbook kasi yan sila, Mikel. Yung malala ko, yung dilaw rin, or like a PR person who supports the opposition kasi, their go-to PR person, I won't mention the name, sila rin yung gumawa ng na yan, yung PR on, remember before, nasaan ang Pangulo, yung mga ganyan. Diba? So sanay sila sa mga ganyang klaseng mga banat. And that's what they're implying here in what former Solicitor General Hilbay is saying na talunan ng 2019.
Well, another argument dito, Ron, is a true leader will not selfishly hide. One, he appears every week to do this speech that he tells us all that everybody just laughs at, right? And they get mad at him when he does it. But two, it's the same with us. If you are the leader, do we want the President Duterte to be exposing himself to COVID day in, day out and putting himself at risk? This is the leader this is the guy we're supposed to be turning to make decisions. We need him to be healthy and well. We're not paying this guy to be the one doing swab tests and being out there, and that's not what the president does.
And first of all, Michael, if I may add to what you just said, first of all, you have to consider the fact that he's the President of the Republic. And meron siyang PSG. So yung Presidential Security Group, ang trabaho is to make sure the President is healthy and protected. So if they may say perpetual isolation ng term na ginamit, ibig sabihin until a determined time, he will be isolated from the rest of the population because he might get infected or there's a threat. So that's expected, no? Tapos yung hindi ibig sabihin na may sakit siya or kasi tinitira rin nila na yung litrato daw na pinakita ni Bongo, nandun daw si yung kanyang daughter and then a baby. First of all, if you use your coconut, ang presidente siguro is the most tested person of all the republic, in all of the republic. Kasi siya yung he holds the most important position in the land. Diba? And then he gets his results instantly. And they live in a bubble. Okay? So that's definitely a presidential bubble right there that they're as much as they can, his aides, his medical aides will do everything they can to prevent the president from contracting the virus. So yung being selfish, you idiot, yun, mandate yan ng PSD, trabaho yan ng PSD na protektahan ng presidente. To think na Solicitor General pa man sana siya. Dapat alam niya yan.
Ito lang, Ron. The other thing is, one, we need the president to be safe. Whoever it is, whether it was Lenny, Duterte, I don't care who it is. We need to make sure that they are safe so that they're able to make the decisions and pull the strings. And another thing, you're stupid if you think Duterte makes all of the decisions in this whole entire country. It's the same with me and Antians. I don't make every single decision. We have people, there's cabinet ministers, there's experts, they consult, obviously, But also, president is already advanced of age. He's 75. So technically, he's actually a vulnerable person. Everybody else, we lock up. We have to make sure he's out there doing his thing. He's protecting us, whatever. But the other thing is, okay, if you're Hilbay, you're a former Solicitor General or whatever it is, you have connections within this existing government. It's easy for you to go and call and say, is Duterte alive? And then he'll find out. Why do you have to come out in the news and say, oh, ganyan, ganyan? It just shows na you're not actually don't have good intentions for the country. You don't actually care. You want the guy to be dead so that you and your people can take over, which is sad. Kasi dapat we are, whatever your thoughts are for the government now, whether you hate them, like them, or what, we have to be, okay lang to be critical, no problem. So mga wokes, okay lang maging critical. You want a better government? Granted. But we have to wish for the best and support them and pray that they're healthy, that they are well, and that they can fight this for us. So it cannot be now, Zubiri gets sick. Oh my God, everybody. I love Zubiri. He's my friend and everybody's worried about him. But then the other side naman, they can't wait for Duterte to die. Ilang beses na nalang pinatay itong si Duterte. Since I've been, every week na lang, somebody asked me, patay na ba siya? I'm like, oh my God, how do I know? Diba? We will find out. But yun lang, guys. So, be careful who you listen to and just know that there are vested interests everywhere, both sides there are. But it's just, let's pray na lang for our government leaders that they make the right decisions and they stay healthy. Nobody wants to get sick. I wouldn't wish COVID on my worst enemy. Nothing. I wouldn't wish. It's wrong to think that way.
Let me just point out, Miguel, parang I can't help but say it in a very blunt way. Para silang nanggagago eh. Kasi sila yung the same people are saying about the curtailment of press freedom is happening right now. Duterte is a dictator, and yet they're the ones disseminating information that's not true, and they're not even worried that they'll end up in jail. No
Ron,
one's in jail.
Kasi ito nakakabaliw, no, Ron? I mean, that's why I mentioned earlier that there's so many media outlets that all they do is make us look bad in the international scene. No? So I have mga relatives who live abroad, and they will call me and say, "Oh my God, Mikel, ang lala naman dyan sa Philippines, press freedom, ganyan-ganyan." And they say, "I don't know how you live there, it's so dangerous." I said, "Okay, how did you hear about it?" Sabihin, sa news, you're the Rappler or somebody reported it. So the mere fact that they're able to report it to you and umabot siya sa the other side of the world, ibig sabihin hindi nakasuppress yung kanilang press freedom. So I think they're free to say whatever they want, day in, day out. Rappler, yung sabihin nila yung kay press freedom, kay Rappler, hindi naman si Duterte ang nagkaso kay Maria Ressa. She didn't even defend herself in court. That's her own issue. She had somebody else who she upset. Okay, but we cannot. Rappler still there. All of these journalists. Granted, maybe the government criticizes what they say, but they're still allowed to say it. There's still, anybody can say what my freedom of speech, I cannot say this. Pero sa Facebook, ang dami mo sabihin, Duterte, tangin mo gago, ganyan, mamatay ka na. Nobody does that, 'di ba? You're still there, 'di ba? You say
enabler of talagang bad commentary from their core base. Yung kanilang audience kasi they're pandering their audience to their
it's really, really sad. I mean, to be fair, no, like both sides, sometimes there's extreme views on the other side, nagkakaaway-away, they say the wrong things. But for the most part, I think it's just very hard to argue the curtailment of press freedom and tyranny and all sorts of stuff. Where we live here, we know how it is on a day-to-day basis. Granted, may pandemic and all that, we were not free to move. But prior to this, we were all doing our thing. Di ba? Labas tayo. We can say whatever we want on Facebook and all. Gusto mo mag-rally? Pucha, pandemya nga, pinayagan mag-rally. Pero sabihin mo, parang I don't understand. Does Duterte say, you cannot speak to international press and ganyan-ganyan, I'm gonna turn... No, it still happens. They're allowed to say what they want. Obviously, the government won't be happy with what they say, and then they'll try to argue it with facts, whatever. But if you cannot say na wala kang press freedom and whatever, you still talk all the time. You still make us look so bad in the world. It's just not right. Like I said, tama lang mag-criticize. Hindi perfect ang There's so many things that they need to improve, like any other country. But there should be repercussions if you knowingly and intentionally paint the picture in the international scene that this country is horrible, because you're also putting off investors, all sorts of stuff. You're making us look bad. The people you're hurting in the end are Filipinos, not the government. It's Filipinos you are affecting here. So dapat mag-isip sila bago sila magsalita ng kung ano-anong kagaguhan dyan.
As much as I want to complain about what they do, gaya ng sabi ni Attorney Tom when he guested on our program, is let them be stupid. Because because of what they're doing, then that's the reason also why their views are not popular, because not a lot of people disagree with them, and they're just making the support base of the administration a lot angrier, and it consolidates. Alam mo yung this, Mikel, diba? I don't know what movie this was. Oh yeah, do you remember that? Did I tell you this about? Did I tell you about this already, or did I give this as an example of this approach or this observation that happens between couples? There's a movie by John Cusack. High Fidelity is the title. Have you seen?
Yeah.
Movie, diba? It's about music, and he's like he owns a record bar, but there was a scene there I remember. There was a point there that he was sort of like stalking his ex-girlfriend, and then he was so adamant, and then he would call the guy up, and then would say stupid things on the phone, and then one day I think his friend, played by his real sister real life sister,
Joan Cusack.
Joan Cusack, told him, "You know what? Her, your ex girlfriend, and this guy played by Tim Robbins, they weren't a unit. But when you started doing this, now they became one." So it's really because of you that they have somebody to go against, and I think that's what's happening here. I don't want to explain it because I don't want the other side to realize their stupidity, but that's what's happening.
Well, I watched something the other day yung sa YouTube, si Enlightened JP. It's hilarious. No? He does like a parody and everything. I sent it, I posted it. Nowadays there's just so much division, and both parties in other parts of the world also, they thrive on that division. Gusto nila talagang magkaaway kayo, you hate each other, and dito ka lang sa super extreme right or super extreme left. Walang gitna, no? And what I've always campaigned for, diba, like I say all the time in this show, is dito tayo sa gitna, pro-Philippine. So you criticize rightly when you're supposed to do it. Be informed when you're gonna be critical, diba? Alamin mo kung ano yung pinaglalaban mo. But then also, you have to wish the country well. You don't want the government to fail, because what's all that's going to happen now is whoever wins, ganun na lang magiging kalakaran every time. They're just gonna spend the next 6 years trying to bring this government down because that's not who they voted for. If you voted and the person you voted for didn't win, it takes you should be mature enough to say, hey, I didn't vote for this guy, but he's the one that majority of the people voted for. I have to respect it. I can be critical, but I have to respect it. I cannot just call everybody else, the 16 million people, whoever it is, voted na this guy's an idiot, they're all stupid for what. Indeed, that's not how it works. Even sa States, Donald Trump won. Anong gagawin nyo? Nanalo siya. Hindi mo siya gusto? Too bad. You live your life, you still be a good citizen. Diba? Hindi yung you spend your days on Facebook peddling fake news, sending stupid articles, and saying how horrible your country is. Ang dami dyan. There's some Facebook pages now, like, where's the best of the best and all these others. Ang dami ko nakikitang question is, how do I leave the Philippines? How do I migrate now? I hate this place. Like, oh my God. Diba? It's like, Jesus.
So kung pwede na magkaroon ng Batok Brigade, tapos pupuntahan lahat ng mga pasaway tsaka yung mga gago sa bahay nila, tapos batukan lang one time.
Diba? I don't want to be too critical kasi sometimes sabihin nila, masyado kong harsh, Mikel, ganyan. But we have to really grow up as a nation and kailangan nating magising din eh. Kasi papatayan tayo, nag-aaway tayo about people that don't really care about us. We have to still do what we're supposed to do. But like I said, no matter which side of the fence you sit on, dapat suporta ka pa rin for the Philippines. Kung anong greater good ng Pilipinas, dun ka dapat. Okay?
I get where you're coming from, Mikel. That would be the idealized approach. Definitely, you would want to convince them. Siguro, you're hoping. Kasi sabi, I always tell somebody who tends to be very, kasi like in your family, I don't know if this is true to you, if you've experienced this before in your family, Mikel. If you have like a family member who is, kumbaga, what's the word for that? Who is astray, who's kumbaga merong mga problema, and then you give them advice, but chances are not going to follow it because that's not how human nature works. You're given advice, but it's really up to you if you're going to follow or not. So I understand the whole concept of putting some sense to how things should be, and telling people, hey, this is a better way. But it's really still up to them to follow that or not. Unfortunately, they fall on the same category as the pasaways who don't follow the basic health guidelines. And we can only wish that one day they'll wake up and they'll realize, you know what, this is not doing us any good. Me criticizing the government all the time and then not providing any solutions. And if I do provide solutions, it's just to sort of like make it appear like, I've been thinking about this, I can do better. But they're not really out there to really help. So that's the problem, no? At saka marami rin sa kanila kasi na this is just a game to them.
Well, ang masakit dito, Ron, is ang personal opinion ko lang for some. Not all. There's some people who really wish well for the Philippines. Yung mga talagang critical sila because they think it's not good, they want better. But there's some really that they just want this administration, whoever it is, out kasi may mga vested interest din sila. Gusto nilang, like, kuwari, ayoko man isipin, pero minsan nakakabahan ka talaga na possible kaya na gusto nila ng prolonged lockdown. Di dahil gusto nilang tulungan yung frontliner, gusto nilang bumagsak talaga yung economy para lalong mawalan ng mga trabaho yung mga tao, para magalit sa gobyerno, sila naman ng botohin next time. I mean, sana naman hindi, no? Hindi ko naman naisip. But ang hirap din talaga na, kuwari, ikaw sa trabaho mo. Kuwari, you work in a call center, any office. Ang hirap gumalaw kung every step of the way there's somebody behind you criticizing you. Kahit anong tama gawin mo, kinikriticize ka lang kasi gusto nila yung trabaho mo. Na alam mo, that's how I feel it is in government. Wala kang pwedeng gawin na tama eh. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. No, I mean, I'm not saying that all people working in government are whiter than white and deserve all of it. But there's a lot of people who work so hard sa government. And like even now, ayaw mo kay Duque. Ang mahirap dyan, ayaw mo kay Duque, yung buong DOH, sinisiraan mo na, galit ka na sa DOH, ganyan. Eh, ang dami nagtatrabaho dyan sa DOH that are doing a wonderful job, fighting for us, doing all of these things. And you basically painted them all in a bad picture just because you don't like Duque. And you don't even know why you don't like Duque. You just think he's the best person to blame for all of this madness. And I'm not saying I like Duque personally, but I'm just saying that's how it is. So even sa DILG, ang daming galit na galit kay Secretary Anyo dahil dun sa barrier ng motor. Oh, but then everybody's saying, oh, ang dami nilang sinasabi. But the DILG is doing a lot of good work everywhere. There's people like Ron the Man over here doing very good work for the DILG.
No, behind the scenes of that. See, yung idol mo si James Deacon. Oh, trinay niya yung barrier.
Ni Angkas, nakita ko.
So, di medyo nagbago ng konti yung kanyang ayaw pa rin niya. Barrier.
Well, ang sabi niya is he still doesn't think it's needed, but if we're gonna insist upon it, that one is probably the best prototype for it.
Right.
Yung sabi. And I get it, but to be fair, like to somebody like James Deacon, okay, he tried it. Diba? He went out, he tried it. He doesn't just sit there on Facebook, I don't like it. The government said it, I don't like it. Blah, 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 blah. I'm yellow, I don't like it. Diba? He tried it. He was critical. He tried it, but he tried it and said, "Okay, I still don't think we need it, but it's actually fairly the best probably prototype for it." Diba? Parang ganun yung hinahanap ko sa tao dito eh. Hindi yung binabas lang ng gobyerno, ayaw mo na kagad. Feeling ko talaga, it's so sad na feeling ko like tomorrow Duterte could wake up and give 1 million pesos to every single household in the Philippines, and people would still complain.
Ako, Mikel, siguro, if I had the chance to talk to our friends from the other side, I'm not going to convince them to change their minds about the president or the administration. But one thing I would try to convince them is to be more, discerning and to look at everything, to look at it to both sides, diba? Yung kung ano yung good, tsaka both good and if they're going to look at the bad thing, about a decision or their interpretation of a situation, they also have to find ways to find it in themselves also, to look at the merits of what the decision is. Para hindi naman yung parang siguro halatang bias sila. Una, we don't criticize, or the people who support the president don't criticize them just for the sake of criticizing them. The reason why they get lambasted by the supporters of the president or they get harassed is because they keep on saying stupid shit on media. That's why. Kaya if they were more balanced sana, I think kahit si VP naman, kahit papaano, meron rin siya mga sinasabi na medyo na tempered. Pero yung mga yung mga kasangga niya, medyo sablay rin talaga eh. Puro propaganda lang nasa isip. Anyway, moving on to the stuff that we want to talk about, yung Red Cross demands to get paid. So, have you read about this, Mikel? So, si Senator Dick Gordon.
Yeah, he said that they might have to stop testing, diba? Because they haven't gotten paid. Yeah,
but I've seen comments also by some of the president's supporters na parang, ano ba si Dick? Diba, ganun bang mandate ng Red Cross? I mean, parang lumalabas, pay us first before we do our job. Diba ang Red Cross is supposed to be, diba, they're there it's like their advocacy to really help medically. Diba? I mean, what's your take on that? I mean,
Sorry, natawa lang ako din sa comment ni Angelo Yambao. So all of a sudden, due to motorcycle barrier, a lot became expert on aerodynamics. Pero nung walang COVID, kahit ano bit-bit sa motor, may overloading, etc.
Angelo, galing mo, pare. Tama ka.
Tama ka dyan. Kung ano-anong bit-bit sa dami, may refrigerator, kung
Oo,
ano-ano.
no? Ito yung mga loko na yun. Di ba? Kung ano-anong sinasakay. Habal-habal nga eh. 8 tao nakasakay sa isang motor eh. Di
Minsan
ba?
nga pamilya, ilan-ilan, mga maliliit. But all of a sudden, may bar, gets ko yung comment mo, Angelo. But going back to the more serious,
Yeah,
yung sa Red.
Miguel, our guest is here, si Attorney
Uy!
John. Yeah.
Attorney
Yeah.
John,
Hi.
Miguel, nice to meet you.
Hi, Mikel.
Attorney John.
Good evening.
Welcome.
Ron, good evening, Ron.
Thank you for joining us. Alam ko you've been spending time with your hubby kasi it's her birthday today. Happy birthday to Gay. Yun.
Thank you. Thank you, bro.
So, attorney, tapos na kami dun sa sa kalokohan ng opposition, yung mga pinagsasabi nila about the president going to another country for medical reasons. Medyo, nagkakalat na naman sila ng fake news, Attorney Jong. Ngayon we're talking about Senator Gordon's comment on getting paid by PhilHealth. They won't be able to do their jobs daw if they don't get paid by PhilHealth kasi may utang daw ng bilyones PhilHealth sa Red Cross. But they receive some criticism about that kasi parang it would appear na Red Cross can only do jobs if they get paid. So it's just like a commercial index. Although I see his point that you can't need it, but at the same time you also think you can't help but think about also what the Red Cross is for. It's an international organization, diba? They're supposed to have enough funding even if they don't get paid by the government. And it's actually looking for is coming from an insurance company like the PhilHealth. What's your take on this, Attorney John?
Yun kasing PhilHealth, di ba? There are a lot of complaints na hospitals have delayed, get paid very much delayed, no? Yung lahat ng yan kasi it affects the operation of a hospital. It affects the operation of an international organization. And I think PhilHealth being the guarantor, or say they are the ones that is obliged to pay for it, should, I think, find ways to keep up with their financial obligation. And there's no, I think there is no excuse, no, for me. There is no excuse for not paying because, well, it's your obligation to pay for it, and you must be able to do it. And also, sa Red Cross naman, to be fair with Red Cross, I think they really need these funds in order for them to be able to really plow back their services. No? So I guess it's just but fair for Red Cross to also claim or call the attention of PhilHealth for whatever is due to them. No?
Attorney John, that the way it was done, si Senator Gordon went to the media and spoke about it. Don't you think there would have been a better way of doing it, like going directly? Because obviously he has the connections, or he has the power to actually go direct to the people involved and ask for whatever it is that they're demanding. But does going to the press what's the intention there? Why do you have to?
Well, Ron, I can just second guess and speculate on the good senator's intention, because truly, if it's just an arm's length issue, okay, then it has to be also resolved through an arm's length discussion, di ba? Or negotiation, for that matter. So the proper thing is write a demand letter, call their attention when is it due. That should have been the normal way to do it, no? Instead of going to the media, because of course going to the media will do you no good, especially if it's just between two corporate entities. So going to the media, I don't think is the wise thing to do.
Yeah, kasi I get the feeling kasi I can't help but also take the opinion of some people that they feel that this is a little bit of grandstanding on the part of our honorable senator. Kasi like I said, he could have easily like gone through the proper channels, and yet he decided to like publicize it because PhilHealth is currently under scrutiny, and he's exacerbating the situation by talking about this situation and making it even worse for our health insurance company. Mikael, do you have any comments on this? What's your take on this?
Madami kasi ako mga kaibigan ng mga hospitals or mga doctors na talagang may mga issues sila ngayon sa collection sa PhilHealth, no? Recently. So they brought this up already. So it's kind of hard for me to comment. But yung kay Senator Gordon lang, I mean, you'd like to think na maybe nag-usap na sila ng PhilHealth. We'd also want to know what the agreement really was between PhilHealth and them, no? Na kung ano yung terms, kung if they will reimburse fully, whatever. So I have a feeling na baka nag-usap na sila, they didn't get the answer that they were wanting to get. So syempre napilitan lang to go to the media. But there's probably also an element of grandstanding to it. With any politician, I think whenever they come out in the media, sometimes it's really pogi points lang din yan eh. Kung ano yung hot topic at the time, di ba?
Free mileage.
Di ba? Kailangan makisabay ka dyan ng konti para, di ba, hindi ka maging makalimutan, no?
Sorry, Mikael. Tatanong ko na. Tatakbo ba to si Senator Gordon for president sa 2022? Meron bang mga ganyan? I mean, based on your experience on how, politicians work, I mean, as early as now, are they already, trying to get people's attention and so that they can be remembered by 2022 if they do decide to run? This is the way, get their name out there and comment on the issues.
No, well, Senator Gordon has always been, ganito na lang, he has always been in the radar every presidential election, whether he is winnable or not. Hey, but he has always been, consistent yan, consistent. Every presidential election, si Senator Gordon has always an intention to seek higher office. I'm just not sure if expiring senator na ba siya, yung kanyang term. Is this his last of his second 6-year term? If this is the last, then maybe he is strongly considering seeking higher office. But he's not in the radar, so far.
Okay.
Sa mga chatters, wala pa naman.
Wala pa naman. We did a survey, Mikael, you weren't there last Friday. We came up with a list of presidentiables last Friday for 2022. Tapos, syempre, pinarate namin sa mga viewers yung mga pangalan eh. Tapos, ang sabi namin, okay, the standard that's been set by the president, the number one thing that attracts most people to him about the electorate, the one quality that attracts the electorate to him is authenticity. Diba, Attorney John? Si Presidente, talagang alam mo, totoo yung pinagsasabi and you can tell that he's very sincere about his job. And then, so, ang ginawa namin, binase namin yung quality na yon, and then we sort of mentioned all the names that are planning to run for president. That includes Pacquiao, Cynthia Villar, Lenny Robredo, BBM.
Sara, wala Sara?
Sara, of course, is also there. So far, nangitlog kasi yung mga dilawan eh. Si Lenny itlog, tsaka si Grace Poe.
Well, view mo lang yan sa kabila, baka isipin nila ganun din.
Skewed yung ating survey.
Kung sa Ateneo ka kumuha ng survey, baka panalo si
pwede rin.
Madam Lenny, no? Kung Ateneo students ka kukuha ng survey.
Depends kasi kung saan yung sample size mo.
Si Rosie Parks, nakakagulat. I thought Red Cross is a humanitarian organization that provides any form of assistance. I didn't expect na PhilHealth may utang sa kanila. No one will vote for Gordon for president. Okay.
Well, talaga, hindi lang talaga natin alam kung ano yung usapan talaga ni PhilHealth at saka ni Red Horse. Baka may usapan talaga sila and they really need the funds. You don't know. Sana ma-resolve nila kasi ang sa akin lang, yung bottom line is sana matuloy yung testing. Yun yung ayoko lang mahinto yung testing.
Yung para sabihin niya isa-shut down yung testing until mabayaran sila. I think yun yung pinaka
Yeah, I mean, if a hospital, like a private hospital said it na wala kami, then maintindihan mo, but because it's Red Cross, syempre there's more questions kasi saan ba kayo kumukuha ng pera? Baka naman we can fund it elsewhere, di ba? Instead na stop entirely kasi if we're relying on this, although sobrang dami na rin nagte-testing ngayon, no? Just today I found so many different companies that do testing. So, but yung mga ganyan na service, so malaking bagay din, malaking tulong ni Red Cross so sana nga ma-resolve nila yan.
One of the directors of Red Cross is a dormmate of mine, si Jay Halandoni. If you want to, let's invite him once in sa show ninyo para maybe he can further explain, no?
Sige, Attorney Jong. Sa Wednesday, kung free siya, di ba?
Good to get both sides of the story always.
Yes, pwede naman. Kausapin natin, tanong natin si Jay Halandoni. I think he's a director. He's a director of Red Cross.
Kasi we want to find out if that's accurate, no? What the media has quoted our honorable senator about, which is they will stop testing if they don't get paid by PhilHealth. That alone sounds a little bit parang okay.
Sila din ang isa sa pinakamura. Sayang yun. Yung services nila.
Sana matuloy.
Isa sila sa pinakamura sa testing.
Ayun, si June Manuel Asoic says Gordon is in his first term. He is up for election on 2022.
Ayun.
So ano sila? Sabay sila ni Kiko, Attorney Jong. Si
Kiko is up for re-election, although Kiko has always been eyeing higher office, no? Simula 2016 pa lang. He was
VP tingin mo VP Attorney Jong si Kiko at target yung Vice President.
Yeah, because that was the plan, di ba? The plan in 2010 was Noy, then 2016 Mar, then 2022 Kiko. That's the 3-term plan, the grand LP plan di ba?
Okay, so hindi Vice President.
Now, Vice siya dapat nung 2016. Diba? He should have run for Vice President in 2016 kasi si Mar will have to be VP in 2016. Pag VP ng 2010, 2016, magpe-presidente siya. Dapat ang VP niya at the time, Kiko. Then Kiko was to run for 2022. That was their grand liberal party plan at the time yata. Well, at least yan yung mga nababasa.
Masasabi ko lang dyan, asa ka pa.
Pero yan yung takbo at the time. So, of course, si Kiko has really, kita naman natin he really has the ambition to seek for higher office. Matagal na rin naman siya senator.
Grabe rin, Attorney Jong, si Kiko, mahilig mag-komento lately. Comment. Kahit anong issue, kino-comment niya. So, maybe that's, there's really truth.
Kaya si Secretary Roque took a swipe on him, di ba? In aid of re-election. Kaya comment ng comment.
Burn. Yun, nasunog siya na doon. Si Senator Kiko. Okay. Yun na nga, actually, I was about to talk about that, Attorney Jong, yung mga talking heads ng ating Yellow Brothers. So they've been out lately this week. They've been talking about the president, and basically it's really about whether or not he's sick or he's going through a very serious medical treatment elsewhere. Ang pinagkakalat nila is that they're abroad. Attorney Jong, what's the deal? Maybe you can explain to people how a PR campaign works. Obviously, the wheels are rolling, di ba? kumbaga, the machinery is churning and from the other side. And what do you want to make it? Do you want to make it appear that the president is incapable of, getting us out of this rut? What's
No, but I really like the comment of who's that yung isa sa mga DDS na every time you spread false news that the president died or the president is dying, you're hurting the vice president. Kasi mas umaasa si vice president na presidente na siya, no? So that's a very smart comment.
Paasa.
Yun.
Parang yung pakiramdam siguro niyan, Mikel, yung akala mo tatawagin ka na ng coach na, uy, baka tawagin na ako ni coach. Ako na magsasub. Tapos bigla na lang iba tatawagin, di ba? Parang
or Ron, pagka injury time na, mga malapit na mag 90 minutes, tapos pinag-warm up ka ni coach, tapos ready ka na, biglang pagpapasok ka na, pumito na si rep.
Ay, nako.
True.
Attorney Jong, late ka kasi pumasok. Merong comment early on, we were talking about the herd immunity proposal by some sectors. They're saying, I don't know if you've seen this on social media, people have been sharing a different way of looking at the numbers. And part of what they're doing is they're showing the numbers, the mortality rate, and then the affected sectors and the age bracket, kung sino yung talagang tatamaan ng virus. And then I think the rationale there is na baka we should allow certain people to go out and then just probably protect the ones who are vulnerable. And given the odds or the law of averages, wala namang mamatay dun sa mga hindi susceptible sa COVID-19. So what's your take on that? Is that something that you think the government should take seriously? Like what they did in Sweden?
Kasi, di ba, during ECQ, we already had this conversation sa chat group. As I said nga, the important thing kasi for this pandemic is to assure the citizens that that you have an available hospital bed. Di ba? When I go out and I get sick, I should have a hospital bed. That should be the clearest message of government. Hindi yung you would read statements issued by good hospitals saying we can no longer accept because there are no available beds already. Please seek medical intervention elsewhere. Diba? That's scary. That will create jitters talaga. Kasi we need yun diba? Early on pa lang, Ron, we've been talking. Yun yung nilagay ko dun sa ating group chat dati na the government's role is to assure, to make certain that everyone who gets infected with COVID will be attended, that there is a hospital bed if needed, or there is enough personnel that is needed. Then, that execute tayo in order for us to be able to build these facilities. Hinahanap ba yung mga facilities? Because if it's right there, I think people will have a lesser fright in going out. They will be less scared to go out. Kasi available ang medical intervention, available ang medical facilities. But we cannot talk about creativity, we cannot talk about relaxing without government seriously addressing the issue of having available medical intervention to each citizen that will be needing it.
But wouldn't that be also, attorney, wouldn't that be also a very effective scare tactic? Na, obviously, this is not the position of the government. It's not policy to say that, kung hindi ka umayos, sige ka, mahirap pa makakuha ng ngayon, mahirap ma-admit sa hospital ngayon. Walang beds for you. Kaya dapat mag-ingat ka, dobleng ingat ka para hindi ka magkasakit. what do you think of that? The other side of a situation like that, where you can argue that if that's the case, then people should be more careful.
Karamihan sa tao natin ron, kailangan magtrabaho. Mas madami sa mga tao natin, kailangan lumabas ng bahay. Ang problema, hindi sila makalabas ng bahay. Maraming gustong lumabas. Hindi sila makalabas. Unang-una, walang transportation. Pangalawa, takot sila. Ngayon, kung tatakutin mo pa sila, kung ginagawa mo lang yan, panakot, para hindi sila lumabas, I think wag naman. I think that is a ill-conceived strategy.
Right.
Most especially if that is a government strategy, wag naman. That's very wrong. That's very wrong.
The government strategy has always been to guide the communities. It's not about scaring them to follow orders or to pressure them or to enforce certain rules. Actually, to be honest with you, Attorney Jong, Mikel knows this. Some of our friends want the military to intervene. They want the military to be in the communities so that these people will follow the rules or the guidelines. But no, when I mentioned that to Yusek Malaya, sabi ni Yusek John, ano ba naman yan sila? Hindi ba nila naisip yung sinasabi nila? Parating ang bukang bibig ng mga tao, police, military daw yung ating solusyon. Tapos gusto pa nila yung military sa mga communities. Ang proper way daw is to get people to sort of understand that what their role is in their communities, so that they themselves will police themselves. They're the ones who will remind people na you should be wearing mask. Kaya nga, Attorney Jong, nung Friday, we were able to launch the Barangay Community Brigade, in the hopes that the people in the barangay, especially the ones who volunteer, because when we believe when people volunteer, that means the heart is there, and they really want to help. So we're hoping that these people who are volunteering for this job, they can remind the people in their communities, in their barangay, to talagang follow the minimum health standards. Yun.
I also just like to comment, Ron, and I hope some of the smart people in PCOO can pick this up. No? I really would like to see government narrative highlighting on what has been accomplished. Maybe not yet in NCR, but what has been accomplished in provinces, no? In provinces, in key cities.
Yeah.
Kasi matino naman maraming lugar sa Pilipinas, mas maraming lugar sa Pilipinas na maayos ang pagpapalakad. Diba?
Yung mga best practices, Attorney Jong.
Yeah, I think government also has to point this out, no? To disseminate this information, and not only disseminate information, recognize the effort of the local government leaders in those territory. Because if you do that, then the more that local government units and leaders will be inspired to perform better. Pagbubutihan pa nila yung kanilang trabaho. Diba? Ang narrative kasi pag sinabi mong Pilipinas, palpak. Buong Pilipinas, palpak na kagad hindi naman ganon, di ba?
So, Attorney Jong, or suspension mga barangay officials.
Hindi kailangan. Biro mo, magsasabi ka, ganito yung nangyayari. Dapat naka-compartmentalize let's say Western Mindanao o Western Visayas. Ganito ang kanilang palakad, ganito ang patakbo nila, Northern Luzon, ganito palakad nila. Diba? We have to give those recognition na it's not as bad as painted.
Right.
Diba? I think government should also have their own narrative on this, no? Hindi yung wala lang. Naging reactive lang tayo sa kumbaga kung anong sasabihin ni opposition, anong sasabihin ng isang ganito. Parang nakakapagod. Diba?
Attorney, medyo kulang pa ang efforts ng government to drive the narrative na the government has done so many good things already so far. Marami
Yeah. Definitely maraming pang pwedeng gawin, no? There is a large room for improvement. And I
Right.
think there is that branch of government na yun talagang trabaho, no? It's not a
PCO.
spin, pero it's establishing the right facts, no? Establishing the right facts. And dapat they owe it to the leaders that na pinapatupad yung directive ni IATF, di ba? So dapat ganun sana ganun, no? Sana ganun yung maturity level of information na nilalabas ng gobyerno. Hindi lang puro propaganda, pero yun yung totoo. And I think the citizens will be more calm, the citizens will be more informed, and the citizens will be more appreciative of what is coming out from government, no? Most especially this key information.
Right.
Mm.
Well, all I can say about that, attorney, is knowing what I know, most of the people who work for the PCO are trying their best to inform the public. The only challenge for the PCO is we just have too much information on what to release to the public, and if we do release information to the public, there's just so much information for the public to absorb. Kasi there's maraming factors yung ating yung maraming components yung ating pandemic, maraming mga issues and marami ring mga actions taken by different government agencies. So maybe that's the challenge right there, attorney. And maybe siguro point well taken. Siguro our communications department can do a better job in sort of shepherding the public to what information it should be absorbing or understanding at that very point at that point in time. Ngayon at this point, Attorney Mikel, we're gonna do the ready ka na ba dito, Mikel? Yung ating saway of the day.
Go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our special segment on our program, Istoryang futBOLERO. We will be showing the pasaway of the day photo.
May sounds. Nasaan na yung picture? Hindi masama yan, masunurin yan.
Sorry ba yan?
Hindi siya umalis dun sa kanyang designated.
Di ba? O nga, nakatapak pa rin siya dun sa sa marker.
Diba?
Kasi doon daw siya dapat na nandito yung butas.
So hindi siya pasaway. Medyo lang kasi pinilit pa rin niya isiksik yung ulo niya dun sa butas eh.
Nakamas naman niya. Okay.
Nakamas ba? Nakamas.
Kailangan niya yung chicken joy niya, wag kang ganyan.
Okay, so semi-pasaway of the day. So rating of 1 to 5, 5 being the highest. Anong grade mo dyan na, Mikel?
Ako, 2 yan, 2. Mabait yan, masunurin yan. Hindi siya nakamask.
Okay. Ikaw, attorney, ano masasabi mo?
Anong highest?
5 ang most pasaway.
Most pasaway? Mga 3 yan, 3.
3. Okay. Ikaw nag-share niyan, Mikel. Sino ba nag-share sa Viber group natin yan? Yung tuloy yung ginamit
ako, pero yung caption dun sa na di lahat ng Pinoy pasaway.
Yun ba yun? Nakala ko yun yung usapan. Pasaway of the day.
Bait yan.
Okay, sumunod. Ganun lang kung sa tingin nyo medyo alanganin, at least nagtatry yung tao, di ba? Pero yung mga, karamihan kasi naman pinupost natin, yung mask na sa baba eh. At saka yung saan ba yung photo na yun? Dapat ipakita ko. Yun talaga yung pasaway of the day. Attorney, nakita mo ba yung nag-ikot sa social media na photos of people na nagsabong under the bridge?
Kailan yan?
May
Hindi ko nakita yan.
Saka,
This week? Last week? Last week?
ano lang, the other day lang.
Oh.
Teka, hanapin ko yung photo. Gusto ko makita ng mga viewers natin kung ano yung pinapag-usapan namin. Na ito talaga itong maloko nito, talagang hindi nag-iisip. Saan na yun? Solid din. Sa atin ba yun, Mikel? Yung mga nagsabong?
Wala naman ako nakita dun.
Hmm.
Attorney Chong, sabi ni Edmond Gozo, hello daw sa iyo. At saka si John Dibora, hello daw.
Yun.
Hi! Hello din, hello.
Attorney John, ano daw? Sabi ni John D, ikaw daw yung kanyang kuya sa sa Servini.
Kuya. Kwan tayo. Parang kwan tayo 2 years yata. 2 years tayo ahead sa kanya.
2 years ba? 1 year lang. 1 year lang yata. 74 yan si John D.
1,
Oo.
2. Parang hindi ko alam kung si Ralph, di ba? Sila ni Ralph Lumo.
Sana nandito si John D kaso hindi siya pwede mag-vlog.
Baka ako hindi na rin payagan dito. Grabe mga topic mo ron.
Hindi, pero, bro, ito talaga, bro. Kasi gusto ko lang ipakita sa inyo yung ito talaga solid. Solid. Ito pinaka-solid sa lahat. I mean,
baka lagpas ng 5 yan. Lagpas ng 5. Mga
hindi ko alam kung pasaway to. Pero siya, talagang natutuwa ako sa kanya. Kasi at least nagtatry siya. Saan na yun? Oh my God. Nawala. Bubble gang tawag ko dito eh.
yung alam ko yan.
Alam mo to?
Tawag doon.
Ito. Attorney, baka matuwa ka dito. Talagang ito solid.
Oh, yan. Champion yan.
Champion!
Plastic balloon?
Oo, plastic balloon. Puta mo, hindi siya mamatay ng COVID sa fumes siya ng plastic balloon. Mamatay.
May helium daw yan sa loob. Kaya, solid, man. Ay, nako. Ito, Pinoy talaga.
Well, kung sino man gumawa niyan, walang COVID kasi solid yung baga niya. Napalaki na lang ganyan yung plastic balloon. No?
Yan yata yung sinasabi ni Joey Concepcion na hindi talaga maawa sa COVID. Yung mga ganyan. Yung talaga mataas yung...
Matibay yung kanyang plastic balloon, ha?
Ganito lang kalit, sumasabog na sa akin. Galing. Skills yan, bro. Skills.
So finally, ang question natin at Attorney Jong is, if you were to choose, si Presidente mag-announce yata tonight or if not tomorrow morning, para sa inyo, Attorney Jong, i-extend ba ang MECQ o strict GCQ as recommended by the Manila mayors?
Ano ba ibig sabihin ng strict GCQ? Totoo lang. Kanina pinagtatawanan namin yan. Kasi wala naman yan doon sa doon sa quarantine category. Strict GCQ.
Hindi ibig sabihin siguro, Attorney Jong, na
parang perpetual isolation na naman. May pausong term na naman na na nilalabas yung...
perpetual isolation, medyo highfalutin nga yung ginamit niya.
Yung strict GCQ din eh. Ano ba yung strict GCQ?
Strict GCQ, interpretation ko na Attorney Jong, kung pag yung nag-GCQ tayo before, siguro maraming hinayaang mga pasaway, tapos hinayaang magpulong-pulong, tapos ngayon siguro talagang i-implement nila ng mabuti yung, kunyari, bawal ang walang face shield sa opisina, mga ganon. Tapos yung mga hindi tamang pagsuot ng mask sa labas na pag pupunta ng palengke, hinuhuli or papagsabihan. Yun siguro yun ang interpretation ko. Siguro yun ang iniisip ng mga Manila mayors.
Yeah, kasi doon talaga kanina natatawa kami. Parang uso ngayong araw mang-imbento ng term. Nung umaga may perpetual isolation, nung hapon may strict GCQ. Di ba? Parang kanya-kanyang. Kasi GCQ is GCQ. Ito yung guidelines na nilabas ng IATF. Ito yung ipapatupad. Di patupad nating lahat. Di ba? Kasi Kasi yung GCQ, yun yung will allow us public transport na naman, di ba? Public transport, which is very essential, especially
Super.
for micro enterprise, no? The micro enterprise, kailangan nila yun. Yung mga yun.
Yung tricycle ngayon, 60 pesos special, kailangan isang tao lang. Hindi nila kaya bayaran yun.
Kaya nga, yun nga yung sinasabi ko, di ba, na bakit ba masyadong mainit sila sa angkas na yun sana yung pinakamurang mode of transport. Hindi ko alam kung ano talaga ang kanilang medical explanation doon sa angkas na yun na kailangan magkabit ka ng barrier, kailangan kang, di ba Ron, naalala mo na I-raise that as an issue.
Yung ating conversation about that.
Yeah, no? Parang sa akin, we have to understand that people has to work. And there need to be public transportation. Okay, and not all employers can provide this public transportation. And yun sana, I think yan yung pinakaunang dapat i-address how people can go to work. So, right. Is it MECQ? Is it GCQ? Pare, ang MECQ napakahirap na. Diba? Ngayon MECQ ito. Na 2 weeks tong MECQ na to nahirapan. Like in my case, no, in the law office, we were able, my staff was able to go to San Fernando. But going to Florida Blanca stopped and has to turn back kasi ayaw siya papasukin ng checkpoint ng Florida Blanca. So, isipin mo yon yung cost to transact with government. Ang konti na lang sana ng distance para tapusin yung isang work, ay bumalik ka ulit ng Manila. So, the client has to shoulder all the cost. No? All the cost. So, is it GCQ? Is it MECQ? Sa akin, parang okay na. Balik na tayo ng GCQ. Challenge, transportation, public transportation. I think they have to re-examine public transportation. I think the most efficient mode of transportation now is angkas. I really do not know because wala namang technical explanation na binibigay ang government. Yung paron, walang technical explanation na binibigay. Ang daming nakamotor. Ang daming nakakaintindi ng motorsiklo. Di ba? So, bakit hindi mabigyan ng alam mo yun, yung tamang paliwanag? Di ba? Napansin, I really don't know Ron kasi hindi naman ako nag-monitor as you guys regularly monitor. But I have yet to see an interview providing technical explanation why an angkas is not allowed. Save for the argument that a two-wheel vehicle is really not allowed to be a public transportation under the law. Okay? But medically speaking or scientifically speaking, vis-a-vis this pandemic, wala pa akong nakikitang sinasabi na malakas makatransmit or mas grabe ang rate of transmission using motorsiklo na nakaangkas ka. Kasi sa totoo lang, kung ako mag-imagine, kung nakaupo ako sa bus at hindi ko kakilala ang katabi ko sa bus kung saan siya galing, bakit sa tingin ko mas mapapraning ako, lalo na kung aircon yung bus na yon, kaysa sa open na motorsiklo na nakaangkas ako. Parang ako yun ako lang.
Ang init-init pa, so the sunshine will kill whatever virus is on there.
Mahangin pa, no? So, naka-mask, naka-helmet ka pa, di ba? So, paano papapasok sa iyo? So, I just don't know, no? Pero yun yung tingin ko. So, again, I would prefer GCQ, but address the public transport issue.
Okay.
Yun ang akin.
Makes sense, Attorney Jong. May explanation naman si Secretary Anyo doon before he got sick. But I think he wasn't able to, siguro tama ka rin na hindi masyado na-explain technically kung paano natatransmit yung virus riding a motorcycle, no? But,
What he explained, sorry Ron,
mm,
I get that part. Meron siya sinabi si Secretary Anyo that we reviewed all the CCTVs, the camera, all over NCR. And we found out that 30% of those na may angkas, nagtatanggal ng helmet, nagtatanggal ng mask.
Ayun nga.
Yun yung kanilang statistical information na nagtatanggal daw ng mask.
Alam mo, good thing you pointed that out, Attorney Jong, kasi in the same vein, yun rin yung issue natin sa barangay level na sinasabi ko nga na kay Mikel, na sometimes, you can tell that even in our village dito sa Las Piñas, karamihan talaga, wala kang bihira ka makakita ng tao na walang mask. Lahat sila nakamask. Kaso it only takes one person to remove that mask, start talking to other people, and then, bam, pwede nang magkalat ng virus. So I think yung rationale dyan, Attorney Jong, is yes, siguro ang basis ni Secretary Anyo is hindi mo kasi lahat pwedeng you can't trust all the motorcycle drivers or couples to adhere to this to the safety precautions. Gaya ng sabi mo nga, based on observation, 30% sa kanila hindi pala nagsusuot ng mask pag nakamotor or walang helmet. So baka yun yung basis, Attorney Jong. Kaya talagang pinipilit nila.
Hinuhubad daw kasi.
Yun. Totoo yan. Pwedeng realities on the ground yan, Attorney Jong, that sometimes you have to make certain adjustments to what you are given on the ground. Yun ang sinasabi nila kasi sometimes you can come up with the best plan and that plan can be based on science, can be based on proper study, but if you take away also the what happens in reality, baka hindi rin applicable. Yun lang, I think he's obviously si Secretary Anya would take his position on this because I work under him, but at the same time I see his rationale also. I mean, he wouldn't want, sino bang gusto na ipaghiwalay yung mga asawa or lagyan ng barrier? I mean, it's such a inconvenience for the riding public. Obviously, you want it to be easier for the people to travel, but at the same time, you cannot remove in the equation people who will refuse to follow the rules. And the problem is, it will only take a few people to infect others or to create or to make the pandemic worse. So, yun. I think yun lang aking masasabi dun sa sinabi mo, Attorney Jong. Mikel, we end this program with what your choice is and your big takeaway of the...
Okay. Well, thank you, Attorney Jong, for your thoughts. Ako sa akin, personally, I really hope na bumalik na tayo sa GCQ. But like Attorney Jong said, it's just GCQ. There should not be strict. Mahirap sa atin Pilipinas kailangan pa i-clarify, no, this time strict. No, just follow the protocols. Whatever is already in the GCQ guidelines as laid by the IATF should be sufficient, no? So yun lang. I mean, the government has to do its part. Yung mga LGU have to make sure they're enforcing. Employers like myself have to make sure that we're also enforcing it and doing things. And people, mga citizens, you also, dapat may mga responsibilidad din kayo dyan, no? Hindi lang yung gobyerno yan.
Right.
But for me, kailangan na natin bumalik. Work, I mean, I know people keep saying, ang pera lang yan, kikitain din yan. But guys, intindihin nyo, ang dami mga Pilipino na everyday hindi sila makapagtrabaho. Ang laking bagay niyan. One day of lost wages is an immense burden on a lot of Filipinos. So if you are able to stay at home and work from home, good for you. But don't forget about the average Pinoy who doesn't have that luxury. Madami na nagsabi sa akin ng mga tao niya na parang mas gugustuhin pa nila i-risk yung virus kesa na siguradong walang sweldo ng ilang weeks or ganyan. Tapos madami na rin walang trabaho. So I'm praying na we go back to GCQ. But I also pray that the government does more to support the hospitals, i.e. increase capacity. Like Attorney Jong said, doon naman kakabahan yung mga tao. Walang space sa hospital pag magkasakit ako, no? I can go out, live, be responsible, but at some point I might get sick. I should be able to still go to the hospital. And we need to look after the doctors and the frontliners to make sure that di naman natin inaabuso yung kanilang good nature and their jobs. No? Di man pwede sabihin na, trabaho nila yan, bawal magreklamo. Also then, sana, like I said last time, wag natin awayan yung mga frontliner. May iba kasi mga tao, they're blaming the frontliner kung bakit nag-MECQ at wala silang trabaho. That's not right. We shouldn't be. We should still be grateful to the frontliners kasi grabe din ang ginagawa nila. So unless nakita nyo na kung anong ginagawa nila sa mga ward, wag na muna kayo mag-comment, no? So yun lang. So I really hope na we go to GCQ because I think the country cannot afford any more MECQ. I think the virus will be here for a bit. We need to learn to live with it and just be safe around it kasi we cannot hide in our houses forever. Advice ko din sa mga tao na, you know, if you live in a village or whatever, try and get some fresh air. Or kahit sa labas lang ng bahay mo, get some sunshine. Kasi kung nakakulong ka the whole time, your immune system's gonna go down. Even sa mga anak nyo. So do that. Another thing is that Attorney Jong said right kanina is, you know, the government should highlight all of the good things. But the best way to highlight the good things that the government is doing also is for those people who have benefited from the good changes of the government. You go out there and tell people, you know, the best thing is word of mouth, di ba? So if you benefited from these good things, you go out there and you tell, let's start spreading some good news, hindi yung pucha, panay bad news lang, siraan lang ng ganyan. Tapos for those who keep putting out this news that they want Duterte to be dead, wag naman sana, please guys. This is the president of our country, whether you like him or not. He is our leader. And he is in charge of us during this pandemic. So kung feeling mo na kung namatay si Duterte, tas bukas si Lenny na ang presidente at all your problems will be solved, I hate to break it to you, that's not how the world works. Magiging mas magulo pa ang sitwasyon, okay? If you really, really want Lenny or whoever it is, I respect that, vote for her. Your time will come, but don't pray for the president of our country to die and start spreading fake news na patay na siya or whatever. And if he is sick or essentially, let's pray for him to be well so that he can guide us through this. And all the other people working sa government, please stay safe, please stay well. Even si Secretary Anyo who is COVID positive again, everybody, no? Wag kayo maging sobrang kupal na you wish people to get COVID or get sick or die just because you don't like them. Wag naman tayong ganyan. Okay?
Tapos pa, sinisisi pa si Secretary Anyo na nagkasakit siya. May mga ganun pa mga...
We should, dapat, ganyan na kalala ang divisions natin dito sa Pilipinas. Na willing tayo mo ganyan. So dapat we should be praying.
Nabasa kong post ng isang
anong...
Ano, Attorney Jong?
Wishing rest. Naka-post pa.
Attorney Jong, medyo na-choppy ka.
Dahil yung kasi yung mga naghahangad na mamatay si presidente, I'm really disappointed with Erin Tanyada. Kasi may post si Erin Tanyada about that akala ko ba disente kayo? Tapos, meron kang post na gano'n, parang hindi kaya nagmanad sa tatay mo, pati sa lolo mo, di ba? Bakit may ganung paghahangat?
Yun ang masaklap doon, no? Is if you're a decent human being, you'll never wish bad health or death to anybody, no? Just pray for them. Kung ayaw mo yung presidente, ayaw mo yung gobyerno, fine, be critical, pero wag naman yung ganyan. Every time na lang, pinapakain nila ng mga tao, no? And it's just not right, it's not good for the Philippines, especially at this moment in time na we should be united fighting the common enemy. Kung hindi ka happy sa government response, okay lang din yun, pero wag ka naman maging ganyan, di ba? And then, sana lang also, like we said the last time, is if you're gonna be opinionated, okay lang yan, but be informed. Okay? Make sure mo, alam mo pinag-uusapan mo, ano yung dinalaban mo. And remember lang yung mga tao that keep comparing us to Vietnam, Thailand, all of these other countries. Ang dami din nilang problema ngayon. Wag mo kakalimutan. Naalala ko nung kino-compare nyo kami doon. So, just remember that. Take the rough with the smooth. And I pray for the Philippines. I pray for the Philippines. I pray for everybody. Sana lang, let's stay safe. Kung ano man i-announce bukas, GCQ, MECQ, let's follow it and let's be responsible. Follow all of the rules, yung mga protocol. Kailangan natin to para makabawi tayo, Pilipinas. Yun lang. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Mikael. Attorney Jong, final shout-outs before we end the program. Baka meron kang gustong batiin dyan.
Happy birthday to my wife. Katabi ko siya dito ngayon.
Happy birthday!
Yo!
Happy birthday. Thank you,
Yan na,
Ron.
si Miss
Thank you for
Gay.
inviting me. Mikel, nice to meet you virtually.
Nice to meet you too, man. Thank you. Ingat, sa.
Attorney Jam, I hope we can
Okay,
still
okay.
invite you next
Yep.
time, ha? I hope this is
Sure,
not the last
sure.
time. Yun.
Oo, sige lang. Basta
Para
mga
may,
late. Kasi alam nyo ngayon, yung homeschool, yung online schooling, nakaka-stress talaga. Nakaka-stress talaga. Grade na kaya, anak ko, grade 2, grade 3, grade 5, grade 6. Wow.
yeah, we feel your pain, Attorney Jam. Anyway, thank you so much, Mikel. Thank you
Okay,
for.
sige.
Don't forget to before we go, don't forget the BIDA solution of the DOH and the DILG. Ang BIDA ang may disiplina, bawal ang walang mask, isanitize ang kamay, distansya ng isang metro, at alamin ang totoong impormasyon, bawal ang fake news. Good night, everyone. Thank you for watching Istoryang futBOLERO.